You're listening to JTE Movie Thinks. Is that the title? Is that correct grammar? All right, we'll go with it. It's a show about movies and thinking. And now, here's your host, every man's hero, JTE.
Hey everybody, what is going on? JTE here, back with another episode of JTE Movie Thinks. And this week, I have a special guest. He's in town doing some stuff with the Schmoes, the U Reviewers Awards. The one, the only, Mr. Jeremy Jahns.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that was a Terminator theme. I feel like you're going to get like copyright flagged for that.
No, that's good. If you want the Terminator style intro,
I love me the Terminator too.
The intro for that movie, they improved it on the second one, I believe. Or was it the same?
Oh, for what?
For Terminator 2 and Terminator 1.
No, T2 was different. It was,
yeah.
It was you see LA and then it looks exactly like LA looks now, and then the nuke goes off and it looks like LA looks now, and then there's skulls everywhere, which is the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and then like the foot comes down and crushes I mean, it was so cool looking. I love the intro of T2, just down to the fire and the music. I had the soundtrack.
It's one of the most, the second you hear those two little dum 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 dum,
oh,
you know exactly what you're in for.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So you know the show by now, hopefully. If you're not, your first time listening. What I do on this show is I ask my guests, what is the last movie they watched, whether it be on Netflix, maybe a Blu-ray at home, maybe it was something they just saw recently in the theater. And I just want to know what that movie is. I don't know what the movie's going to be, and this is what the excitement is for me, because I'm just curious to hear what movie we're actually talking about. Now, John's, like the Schmoes and some of my other guests, do you actually have to review movies?
Yeah.
It's your job. So I don't want to know what's the last movie you saw in the theater, because it could be something really bad in January.
No one gives a shit about The Loft. We don't want to hear about The Loft.
No. So let me ask you, Jeremy, what's the last movie you watched that you put in and you watched from beginning to end and that you just wanted to put in because you wanted to watch it?
Well, I can test you, because on my Instagram, in the background, the Blu-ray case is laying down, but it's small. Okay. I want to see if you can get this.
Okay, you got a picture?
I got a picture right here on Instagram at Jeremy Jahns. Here it is in the background. Those are my dog's heads, but in the background, on the table, there is this little Blu-ray.
Oh, crap.
And if you can guess it...
is it the Avengers?
It's the Avengers.
Holy,
good job.
Pulled it off.
Yeah, that's
pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
I wish you people could see the photo I looked at.
You can at Jeremy Jahns on Instagram. It was I was just sitting around.
Okay.
And all the Age of Ultron trailer was around, and and then the next one came out, and Ant-Man. It's just all like very marveling up right now, and I was like, you know what? I want to watch the Avengers, and I watched it. Zero regrets once again.
I gotta say, with you, I had no idea what movie I was gonna get.
Yeah.
And I did not expect the Avengers. I was maybe thinking something animated, maybe. 'Cause I know you like some anime films, don't you?
Well, there's a lot of CGI in the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's kind of animated.
And you were a wild card for me. I know the Schmoes crew pretty well, and I have an idea of what they're watching. Makuga probably watched Roadhouse.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Ellis probably watched maybe a sports movie.
Yep. Or probably watched Rudy.
Yeah.
He's watching it at this very moment.
Harloff probably a Star Wars movie.
Right.
But you are the Avengers, so awesome. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about not only the movie, but what the movie was when it came out.
Right.
Because it was as for me growing up, I had Marvel toys.
Right.
Everyone did.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought we would ever get anything like this.
Yeah, never. And I was thinking about that. I'm watching it, and if you pitched this just in 2007 to the people, I mean, at this point the studios knew they were going to do it, but in 2007, if you said, "Hey, we're going to do an Avengers movie, everyone you love is going to be on screen," we'd be like, "Bullshit." Am I allowed to say bullshit?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
We could swear on this.
All right, sweet. I never know. I got to know. But if someone pitched that, they'd be like, "Bullshit, can't happen. No one can ever pull it off." And now we have the Avengers. And then you see Age of Ultron. There's more people. I'm like, oh my god, this changed comic book movies forever. Like, it was the culmination. Iron Man 1 set the stage to change comic book movies forever. But the Avengers they pulled it off. Because if it sucked, broken hearts everywhere across the board.
And let's talk about the director, Joss Whedon.
Joss.
Yeah,
Joss Whedon.
I always mispronounce his name.
It's Josh without the S. It's Joss.
Joss Whedon.
Yes.
When he was announced that he was going to direct this movie, were you on board right away? Because this guy has done a lot of TV. I love Serenity. I thought it was a very underrated sci-fi film. It was really well written, but he was giving one of the biggest properties ever. Were you worried when that was announced?
If you watched my videos, you would have seen my video I did when it was announced that Joss Whedon was doing. No, I immediately was like, that's the perfect choice because, like Serenity, the Avengers are a crew of different personalities, all working together. They're going to have problems. They're going to be on the same page for some things. They're going to conflict in others. It is Serenity, just on a different scale. And I gotta think that's how he saw it. Was when he was going into it, he was like, okay, don't see it as the biggest job I'm going to have in my life. See it as I'm doing something like Serenity again. It's a movie, and you have your different personalities, and make that work, build off of that. Not like, let's make the biggest movie that's going to make a shit $1 trillion, which it did.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
It broke $200 million on opening weekend, which I never thought would ever happen.
That was insane. I also did a video. The Avengers was the thing where I'm like, my God, you can get so many videos out of one movie property because there was always news to it. Yeah, it made... How much money did... It was like 200...
It was 200 like 12
10
million.
Or something like that. Yeah, it was disgustingly gross. And, yeah, I mean, it's just worth talking about. You're like, oh my God, this movie did that. Because you think, okay, they're going to do the Avengers, maybe word of mouth. Maybe people are going to be like, that's not going to work. I'm going to see if a friend liked it. Nope. Apparently, all the Marvel movies leading up to the Avengers set up the Avengers for just simply succeeding on everything.
Here's the thing. Growing up, when I was, reading these comics and playing with these toys, I never thought any adult would want anything to do with it. I never thought any girl that I talked to would want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So to think that everybody would go see this movie, I still kind of thought, all right, maybe just the geeks are going to come out.
Right.
But everybody went and saw it.
Yeah. I mean, I learned...
My parents saw it, and they never read a comic book in their life.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is it's accessible. It's not like some elite Marvel or comic book fan-only club. It's like, I got the Blu-ray, and the Blu-rays come with the DVD sometimes. I loaned it to my dad. I was like, here. I was like, you'll love it. He was like, what is it? I'm like, it's awesome. And so, because he had seen all of them leading up to it, but I mean, he knew it was coming out, but he didn't know this was the movie that was the, like, holy shit, you mean this is the pinnacle of all that other stuff? And so when you see it, you're like, Cap, Iron Man, you know all these characters intimately, because you've seen their movies like 100 times. But I'm with you on it. Like, I remember back in the day, I don't know if like people these days aren't going to remember Viewmaster. Remember the 3D thing?
Yeah, of course.
I had Captain America.
Oh, really?
Viewmasters. I had Spider-Man was always my big guy.
Okay.
But which is why I'm really hoping they bring him into the Marvel universe seriously. But I had Cap Viewmasters. I never saw Cap as cool. Captain America: The Winter Soldier was the thing that put me on Captain America.
Okay.
And then now going back to the Avengers, you're like, yeah, he's cool because the coolness that he was in Winter Soldier now. It's like prorated. You go back to the Avengers, you're like, you're now as cool as you were in Cap 2.
So you didn't find him as cool as in the first Avengers movie. I know he looked the most ridiculous.
No, I actually, his suit, with the old World War II suit, is my favorite Cap suit that they've done in the movies.
Well, what about the one in the Avengers where he's like, it's an updated version?
The Star Spangled, kind of updated Star Spangled. It's still cool. It's the one I rock on Marvel Heroes because I play that.
Yeah.
But after Cap Winter Soldier is when I went back and started leveling the shit out of Cap because that shield, like he throws the shield, like bouncing among everybody like pinball. No, I thought he was a cool character in 1, but he never was the bad. Like we're talking in Cap 2, when you see just what he goes up against and what he does, is cooler than taking on Red Skull. Like he is Captain America. He is the first Avenger for people who are not American who don't give a shit about the title Captain America. But now that Cap 2 made him that cool, you go back to the other Cap movies and he's now the character he was in Cap 2 always. It's after and before. And so that movie really just brought him up to the level.
Before we get into the movie, break down how you saw it. Because when I think a movie this big, whether it be Star Wars or Avatar, I guess you would say, because it was a big deal coming out.
Yeah.
Give me, what was your experience when you actually went and saw it? Did you go with a couple friends? Did you see an early screening? How did it go down?
Yeah, how the hell did I watch TV? Yeah, it was, I worked at the movie theater, and so they get
okay.
Yeah, I still worked at the theater at that time. And so the Avengers came in, but I wasn't the projectionist cutting the movie together.
Okay.
And it was all digital, but we still use the term cutting the movie together. And so they make the playlist, and I'm like, is the Avengers tonight? They're like, I think it's tomorrow morning, because digital movies, for people who don't know, they have keys that digitally unlock them. It's basically like you can't watch the movie until this digital key unlocks. And it unlocked at like 8 a.m. or something like that. And I'm like, I'll be there at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So I go flying in there. And by flying, I mean not jet. I mean I literally am running like the speed of light.
Now, was this a public screening?
No, this was because projectionists screen the movies before the public.
Okay,
and so
gotcha.
it was just me, because that's how I am. I love watching movies by myself at this point, because I did for so many years that with a crowd, there's going to be some asshole behind me that talks.
Yeah,
there's going to be some kid in the front row that's talking. Like, screening movies by myself is my comfort zone.
All right.
Or with a friend, because all the friends that I have know that, like, they don't like people who talk in movies either, you know, so we all just sit down and enjoy the movie. And so, I watched the Avengers. I got out of the Avengers. I was like, that was cool shit.
Were you immediately, like, just telling everybody and texting your friends? Were you like, it's amazing?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I don't want to tell them that, because I want them to go into it, like, not knowing if it's good. Okay. You know, I'm like, well, you'll see what you see. But, yeah, I have to think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I have to think. I couldn't contain that one. I was probably like, guys, it's worth it. It's so rad.
Do you remember what your review was for the movie? What did you give it, your rating?
Oh, awesome-tacular.
It was awesome-tacular.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that was one of those movies where, I mean, that was up there on the top 10. God, I think that year, didn't Apes come out that year?
I believe so. I'm not sure. It was the same year as
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that's right. The thing is, I know this has nothing to do with it, but Zero Dark 30 came out the same year.
Really? Yeah, no,
I remember
that's
that.
how I am. It's my friends are always impressed how I can relate years of events, but it really is the chronology, the little tabs, the bookmarkers in a timeline of that is my life. They're movies. It's like I know what I was doing when this movie came out, so I know the year and I know what was going on around it. You know, it's
Dark Knight Rises was the same year.
Yeah, it was that same summer. Yeah,
oh,
so
man.
you had the comic book movie and you had Nolan's completion.
Yeah,
and people loved one or the other.
I hate to do this to you.
Oh, do it.
Schmoes choice. Would you take Dark Knight Rises or the Avengers if you had to choose one?
If I had to choose one? It's funny, because Dark Knight Rises... Oh, shit. All right. I'm going to have to really...
It's a hard game, man.
So I'm on an island somewhere with a gun to my head, and
you're like,
I have
one
to
movie
choose.
is going to be erased from history, the other will be allowed to exist.
You know what's really funny? All right, here it is. Dark Knight Rises on my top 10 list that year. I believe I gave a higher, like I put it on,
really?
on
you
the
put
hierarchy
it higher on the,
than because I can kind of roll with the problems
in
that movie, because I'm like, it's the completion of the trilogy, you know, and I thought it was done well. But Avengers is more fun. Like, it's like this. I have to be in a mood for a thicker movie to sit down for the Dark Knight Rises. I have to be in the mood for a drama. Avengers, I can literally pop in any time on this hypothetical island I'm now on, because it's Schmoes choice, and I can watch the Avengers any moment of any day, and I'll have fun with it.
I totally understand that. Listen,
so the Avengers.
Godfather is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, but you have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah. Whereas Roadhouse is not a great movie, but I've probably seen it 100 times more.
Right. Because, there is definitely a mood. Like, the amount of times you can watch a movie does not actually have anything to do with the quality of the movie.
I totally agree. All right, so we're going to jump all over Avengers about how much we love the movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what's wrong with the movie.
Okay.
Give me some negatives about it, because I don't think it's a perfect film.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, no film's really perfect. Shoot.
Let me start off.
Start me off here.
First of all, Josh Whedon coming from TV, I do feel like at times maybe some of the I would even say the cinematography, because like you watch the Age of Ultron trailer, it looks much more cinematic.
Yeah, it looks much more dire.
And it's not just the aspect ratio, but the cinematography looks a little bit crisper, more. It's darker, obviously.
Okay.
And when I watch the Avengers, I get that, and this isn't really saying a bad thing. You get that like TV Saturday morning cartoon vibe a little bit.
You know what's funny is I was trying. Last time I saw it, it's really fun. I was trying to look for it, but I didn't find it as much as you did. I thought it was. Because you don't want to make the movie like this dark thing. You know, you want to have fun with it. So it does have a lighter tone, but I didn't see it as TV. I didn't see it as a guy who came from television.
Yeah.
I just saw it as a guy who was like, I'm making an Avengers movie. I'm going to kick him off, having a good time. Age of Ultron, everyone's going to get their balls kicked in.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have people screaming, and it's going to be terrible. I got one for you.
Okay.
Clint Barton. That's Hawkeye.
Oh, okay.
Did not have
real name.
much to do in the movie.
Yeah.
I wish he had more, because the only build-up we had with him was in Thor, when he's about to shoot Thor.
Yeah.
And then now he's in this movie, and I'm like, you're a Loki drone?
I kind of, here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but I like that twist, because I didn't expect it, and it gave him something to do besides, Because I mean, what's he?
I agree.
Towards the end of the movie, yeah, he's on a building shooting arrows.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see him actually work for Loki because it actually gave him something to do because the whole Avenger team is basically taking care of business.
Yeah, I feel like if they had done with him what they did with Professor Xavier in the first 2 X-Men movies, which is like give him a movie where we can see him do stuff, and then in the next movie kind of drone him out and have him not do much, then I'd be okay because we got the last movie. But to start him out as a Loki drone, I was like, no, you can't. Like, if they do that, if Ultron somehow hypnotizes him or something, then I'd be fine with it because we saw him do stuff in the first movie.
Yeah. Do you think he's good enough to carry his own film?
His own film?
I mean, a Hawkeye film.
I think if they made a Hawkeye Black Widow film, they'd be a good duo.
I could see
that would be a solid duo. But them as their... Well, I honestly, after Cap the Winter Soldier, I was like, yeah, give me a Black Widow film. I think she'd be awesome.
I was watching Winter Soldier not too long ago, and I was wondering why Hawkeye wasn't in it as much, because he is part of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Black Widow's there, like... I just feel like after he was set up in Avengers, just being part of S.H.I.E.L.D., how is he not, like, in that area?
Because dudes don't care about Hawkeye as much as they want to see Scarlett Johansson.
I guess that's a good point.
I agree. I can't remember if they wrote it off like, oh, Barton's doing a mission over there in Russia or something like that, you know, and so that's why he's not there. But, yeah, you would think the moment buildings and aircraft carriers started falling in the city, I think Hawkeye would drop whatever he's doing at Good Burger and be like, I think I should go over there and help.
Also, let me say the villains in the Avengers, which is Loki. And he kind of just adopts this alien army, which we don't really know much about.
Right.
And I remember when the news came out that Loki was the villain.
Right.
Part of it was, I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed because part of the excitement of Avengers was like, who's the villain going to be? You're thinking of these epic bad guys. And then when they say Loki, you're like, from Thor?
Yeah.
How's he going to take on the whole crew of the Avengers?
Because he's a god.
He is, I know, but like the first Thor movie was kind of my least favorite of the first run of movies.
Okay.
So even though he was great in it, and so I felt a little disappointed because I wanted a bigger name.
Okay.
Not somebody I already saw before, but he pulled it off. Yeah. Beautifully.
Yeah, they pulled it off. I liked Loki because I believe the villain in the comic books was Loki.
And that gave us some, and I remember when everyone was a little disappointed, that was the major argument. Yeah. Loki was the first guy that fought the Avengers. I was like, well, okay.
And after our whole monologue about how the Avengers works for people who didn't read the comic books, I suppose that argument right now doesn't mean much. But yeah, I liked Loki. I love his, like, the dude has personality. And I like Hiddleston as an actor. And I honestly thought he was perfect. I'm like, he's enough crazy for them to be like, how do we battle that guy? But he's not Joker crazy, but you know, he's still a little off the rails. Yeah. He's a man with a plan. His army I didn't know much about. That's fine because I'm like, all right, it's like expendable income. It's like, okay, guys, you're mercenaries. You're going to work for me now. All right, and you're a bunch of stormtroopers who are going to get wiped out. But the main villain's motivation is what I care about. That's another thing, though, that I would change. Although I laughed my ass off, and I love the scene when Hulk just grabs him by the ankle and slams him into the pavement. Yeah. There's really no end fight with Loki. It's like the Hulk grabs him, beats his ass in, and that is literally that. Yeah, and it's hilarious, and I love the scene when it happens. But when the movie's over, I always go, I wish Loki had fought someone at the end. I hope there was a fight.
He does fight Thor a little bit on the tower before the Hulk comes. Remember, there's a point where Thor's like, "Stop this madness!" The city's going to hell.
Yeah, and then he stabs him, and but the last thing where he's like, "I am a god," and he just grabs him and beats him like a doll. I love the scene, and I can't help but have nothing but love when it happens. But there is a part of me that's like, I wish something else happened other than that being the final blow, you know? Because it's kind of detached. The fight with Thor, then other things happen, then the Hulk does that. If he was fighting Thor with the Hulk, and then the Hulk grabbed him as the end move and beat him in, it would have flowed a little more.
It would have been nice to see every member of the team just go at him at once and just overtake him.
Right. You know that is my favorite scene in the movie is when it shows one person and then it goes and moves to someone else. It shows everyone just teaming up. I'm like, good God, look at Midtown Patrol over here.
It was just one continuous shot.
Oh, it's the best.
It was the best. And for me, this movie, like, the action's unbelievable, but it's the finally seeing these characters interact.
Yeah, and because you know those personalities are going to clash, they're going to have problems, you know, like Cap and Iron Man, no surprise whatsoever,
He's like, put the suit on, he's like, try me, and that's what makes me so excited for Civil War.
Yeah, absolutely, because you saw it start, and
At Comic-Con, they showed the Avenger 2 trailer.
Yeah.
And even at the DC... Marvel did this whole thing in Egyptian theater.
Oh, yeah, the whole panel. Oh, yeah, I woke up. My Twitter was blowing the fuck up. Right. I was like, what's happening right now? So I had to, like, go on camera and start doing that.
Did you see the scene, I believe it leaked online, where Captain America's
like chopping wood, and they're kind of arguing a bit about ideology? Yeah, that's good stuff.
And then Cap rips a piece of wood with his bare hands.
Yeah, right.
And you can hear the audience, and these schmoes are there, and... From everything I heard, it sounds so awesome. I can't wait to see that whole Civil War thing work out. But I regress. Let's go back to Avengers.
Yeah, right.
We're getting excited here.
Yeah, we're talking in the future, folks.
Yeah. So the opening scene. One thing I was really impressed when I remember seeing the Avengers in theaters was the opening action scene with Samuel Jackson and Loki.
Yeah.
It was almost like something you would see at the end of a movie.
Yeah, right.
Like a regular summer movie, it would have felt like the ending of a movie. It was this big action set piece, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is the beginning?
Yeah, right. And I love the hits. I love a good hit. Like when someone gets hit and you just feel the hit.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, Loki beats down a couple guys and kicks a guy into a wall, and I'm like, that feels like it hurt, you know? And he vaporizes another one. And I mean, that's what I love about apparently what Joss Whedon can do is the action scenes. Like when it's like a hand-to-hand combat thing, I just love feeling the hits, man. It's just my favorite thing.
The Iron Man Thor fight was one of the best fights for me.
Because, when he's like,
the woods.
he's like, what did he say? Thor says something. He's like, to stay out of it. He's like, then don't take my stuff.
Exactly.
He's like, do you know what this is? He's like, Shakespeare in the Park. Doth mother know you wear their drapes?
And I remember when the Thor movie did come out, his powers, I feel like, were elevated to a little bit higher level than it was in this movie. Because when I saw Thor and he hits a ground,
and then the whole ground just destroyed. You're like, you're gonna fucking kill Iron Man.
I was like, what's this? I was like, this is basically the Superman for them. He's just gonna be able to take care of everything.
Yeah, and he should be able to.
Yeah, and there was a great scene where he's crushing Iron Man's armor with his bare hands, and you're like, okay, Iron Man, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and then you're like, what in the hell is Cap's shield made of? Jeez.
Against the Thor of God, basically. Yeah. And then of course Cap comes in and like hits him.
Yeah, he's like, enough, guys. We must not do this.
And like that shield hitting them was just like, throwing a pebble at them.
Right. But it was enough,
It was just to get their attention.
It's like Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, going, shh. Yeah. Like, all right, the dog's just stopped. That's a good one. Thank you. I thought of that just now. I love the interaction with Cap and Iron Man, because Cap and Iron Man, as much as there are personality conflicts, there are also people gravitated towards each other, like Iron Man or Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. He was like, oh, holy shit, someone who's smart, and so he's like talking with him about their doctorate degrees or whatever the hell they talk about. And then he's trying to rage him out and turn him into the Hulk.
Let me ask you a question about that. If you could go back and it was your choice, would you keep Edward Norton or would you have made the switch to Mark? I know it's happened, but if it was up to you, if you were the Kevin Feige, said you had a chance to keep Edward Norton, would you keep him?
God,
I feel like the Incredible Hulk is like the stepchild of the first. Because
kind of, but I still liked it. But it's true. It's like of all of the lead up movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that lead up to the Avengers, it's the one you don't have to watch
because it doesn't have the same guy.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same guy. It doesn't have the same Hulk, really.
Nope,
it is a different thing. Now you're asking me to go back after the Hulk completely steals the show in the Avengers and ask if I would recast him. Not now, but are you saying not knowing? Would I do it? Because I am burdened with knowledge at this point.
That's the problem. With your knowledge that you have right now, would you go back and still leave Edward Norton as the Hulk, or are you happy with Ruffalo?
No, I'm happy. I'm completely happy with Ruffalo.
So you don't think Norton would have done as good a job?
I think Norton would have been an awesome Bruce Banner, and it would have given an element of continuity to the movies leading up to it.
So are you willing to trade that continuity for Mark Ruffalo?
You're asking, am I willing to gamble?
Yes.
I'm not willing to gamble that.
Okay.
I am perfectly happy. Like, if I was in... I always see things in Vegas. I always use Vegas terms. And if I am there and I have a 20... You're asking me, do I want to hit, hoping I get an ace?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm staying on my 20.
Listen, one thing I am happy about, even though I kind of want to see Edward Norton in there, I do love the redesign of the Hulk.
Yeah, because that was the thing about the Hulk.
He's supposed to be Hulkish.
Yeah, and are you talking about the redesign in the Avengers?
Yes.
Yeah, and what I love is that he looks like Bruce Banner, but he's just enormous.
Yeah.
Now, Edward Norton Hulk and every Hulk.
He's kind of skinny and ripped.
Well, I mean, he didn't look like Norton. I'm like, you just look like the Incredible Hulk. You doesn't look like your face is just bigger and more muscular version of Bruce Banner. You look like a completely different thing, a completely different guy. This one, I love the scene where he's turning into the Hulk and he looks over at Scarlett Johansson and you see the worry in his eyes, and you just see the light leave it. You're like, you can see the intelligence just go away. You're like, you're dumb now, and so, but you're the same dude.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it great. It's like, you're Bruce Banner. You're just a rage monster version of him. And so that link to the two is why I love that so much.
Yeah.
But Edward Norton, it's true. It would be great to see him interact with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. You know, it'd be great.
Also, another highlight for me in the movie was the Thor Hulk fight.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely,
it is the first time where you're like, okay, somebody here that can actually throw down with Hulk.
Right.
And in comics and even the cartoons, these guys fought a lot.
Right.
So that was epic to me. And then one of my favorite scenes is when the Hulk is running at Thor, and Thor's in this pose, his hands out.
Yeah, and he's just like, you're like, what are you doing?
For the hammer.
Yeah.
It's like, how does he just wait for it to come? And the second the Hulk is about to come, the hammer comes, and it's uppercut.
Yep.
Boom. And then, again, the scene I love after that, Hulk trying to pick up the hammer.
That is, when it happened, my friend was in the room when I was watching, I was like, I love this scene. Because it shows no matter how strong you are, if you're not worthy, you're not picking it up. And yeah, like the pavement's cracking under him, and he's just pushing himself into the ground. It's like, he can't lift
awesome.
This hammer is just imbued. And I love, for people who didn't see it's on the extended Age of Ultron trailer where they're all trying to lift the hammer.
Yes,
and Cap, it squeaks ever so much. It goes and Thor gets this look like, wait, what?
What?
It's like almost a moment of worry, and then it doesn't go anywhere.
And it makes so much sense because if anybody's gonna be able to do it, it's Captain America.
And it really does, because you see him as a noble dude, and you always saw him as like, oh, the coolest, but you still see him as a guy. But when he moved the hammer a little bit, I'm like, no, you're like better than human beings. Like you're the best version of a human that a human can be. And it really brought that into the movie.
We're about to close up here. I got to ask you about Age of Ultron.
Okay.
It's Joss Whedon's second Avenger film. Joss Whedon. Sorry. Now, the Russo brothers apparently are going to take over for Infinity War.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Do you wish Whedon would just stay on?
This is how I feel about it. And this is experienced from, I saw it in the Batman franchises, like the Schumacher Batman. I can't say, I don't know if Schumacher ever loved it, but at a point he certainly fell out of love with it. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man's a great example of this.
Okay.
I have seen when a director doesn't feel like doing it, forcing him to do it does not bring out the best product it can be.
Okay.
So at a point, if this is Joss Whedon going, I don't want to do it, I'd rather them get someone else. Because if he doesn't want to do it, it's going to show on screen, and I don't want that to happen to the Avengers Infinity Gauntlet saga. I would rather it just be as good as it can be, even if that means getting another director.
And you obviously feel more comfortable with the Russo brothers doing Winter Soldier.
Right. Because it was Captain America the Winter Soldier. That is up there. That's top 3. It's like, for me, it's in no specific order is Iron Man, Avengers, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Those are the top 3 for me.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I would say Iron Man, Captain America, and Avengers, not in the specific order.
Yeah, and so to have the people who made a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie feel that real and that just fleshed out, that good,
Yeah.
What they did for Cap, what I've always wanted to see happen with Cap, and so to have them taken over, I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's not like they took some asshole from nowhere. It's like, hey, you want to do the Infinity War?
Out of the first run of films we were talking about this earlier, what do you think is the worst? Like I said, Thor.
The worst,
and that's not. It's a horrible movie.
Yeah,
it's just the least favorite.
Yeah, something has to be the least favorite. My least favorite is probably Cap 1.
Cap, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I really dug Cap 1.
Yeah, it's probably... That is not to say it's a bad movie,
yes,
Josh.
Exactly.
That is just to say something has to be the lowest. But Cap 1's probably... It is probably it. I like the movie. I kind of love the movie. I gave it buy it on Blu-ray for my rating.
Oh, nice.
And I love what they did with Steve Rogers. I love the build-up. I love the setup. But there was just something about the pacing in the movie, and they montaged through all the cool Cap shit I wanted to see.
I understand that.
And so, and in the Red Skull, I mean, I like Hugo Weaving, but really, Red Skull is the villain that you can
Yeah.
blink out of the cinematic universe. And it's like, I guess he didn't really... Because when he grabs the Tesseract and he was
gets-
beaming up, I was like, that looks like Asgard.
He gets sucked in, right?
And I swore he was going to Asgard.
Okay.
And so I was like, he's going to come into the Avengers somehow, or he's going to come
Right?
into another Thor movie.
Tell me this.
I never saw him again.
Did you think halfway through Winter Soldier, I thought Robert Redford was Red Skull?
I never thought, oh, that would have been a neat twist.
Imagine,
I never thought that. I never
imagine
thought
the
that.
end of the movie, he pulled it off.
Yeah, because
I
it's
would've
just a
lost
fake
my
face.
mind.
Yeah. That I never thought that. Yeah, that's actually a clever twist
I thought
on that.
it would have been
man.
amazing.
That would have been something else. But you know what's funny is it does. I do like villains that are just like, no, you're just a corrupt asshole. You
Yeah.
don't have to be special to be a villain. You can just be a guy who's just a dick, and now you're a villain. You know.
And even though Hugo Weaving says he doesn't want to do it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of works with Red Skull because his face changes.
Yeah, right. So you gotta
And
get someone else.
just get
yeah.
somebody else, and who I thought would be a great replacement, but he's already been cast. And there were rumors. The guy from he was in Rush. He was in Inglourious Bastards. The German actor. He's cast in Avengers. Civil War.
Who's it?
Daniel Bruhl.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
they made
Yeah,
the opposite.
when-
It's funny because
Yeah.
you didn't really realize how many memes are gonna come out because he was also in Rush.
Yeah. So the reason why I saw him and I heard he was getting cast in Civil War, immediately I went to Red Skull maybe.
Right.
But apparently he's playing some total different character.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I personally would like to see Red Skull come up somewhere.
Yeah. I feel like there's not a lot of closure. But if he doesn't, to be clear, I'm gonna end Infinity Gauntlet. Go. There was no Red Skull. This
Yeah,
is bullshit. You know, it's
understand.
like if I never see Red Skull again, it's fine because they clearly have bigger fish to fry at this point. But I would like to see this guy who was the head of Hydra, who was like up there with Hitler's right-hand weapons expert.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him do something other than like, I'm searching for the Tesseract. Well, fuck you didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's that.
Totally understand. All right, well, we're going to have to close this show up. This was a great episode. I love talking Marvel. I love talking Avengers. Jeremy, thank you so much for being on. Tell the people where they can get you.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Just look for my name, Jeremy Jahns. It's spelled Jahns because I like spelling it funky. Or you can Twitter's at Jeremy Jahns. And really anything's at Jeremy Jahns.
Yeah.
Except I guess on Facebook for my public page, I had to do a real Jeremy Jahns because someone took Jeremy
I was
Jahns.
going to say, just for all your other things, you're lucky you got your name.
Yeah, right.
It's
Is
jackpot
it- yeah,
these
I
days.
guess I tried to jump on the Facebook wagon after someone was like, that'd be a neat name to take, you know,
Yeah.
so that was that.
And yeah, so YouTube, Instagram,
YouTube.
Twitter.
YouTube's a big, at Jeremy Jahns.
Yeah, at Jeremy Jahns.
Jeremy Jahns.
Guys, you can catch me at Schmoes JTE. You can catch me on the Schmoes Know Show, Box Office Breakdown. I engineer for Popcorn Talk Network and everything else. And thank you for listening. And if you're on iTunes, give me a 5-star rating if you feel like I gave you a 5-star podcast.
This was definitely a
I
5-star
think
podcast.
so.
I would give you a 6-star podcast
Oh.
just because you carried me through this whole thing.
Would you say the podcast was...
Awesome-tacular.
I think we gotta end it there, people. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of JTE Movie Things.